Hello and welcome to another episode of the Forgotten Places channel. Today I wanted to talk about an issue that doesn't get discussed a whole lot of the time, but it is one that is definitely there and more present this year than previous years. And that is the MLB's attendance problem. Now, we are here in 2022, the first regular season attendance-wise since 2019. And I have the numbers here that are comparing 2019 to 2022, and they are not very good. Now, I know we're not all the way through the season yet, and summer's kind of just started. It's the 26th of June right now, but I feel that enough games have been played to have a decent comparison here. So I ran the numbers here from 2019 versus 2022, and we have a grand total of 22 out of 30 teams in decline in attendance versus 2019. And the numbers here are significant. We have some storied teams such as the St. Louis Cardinals down 45-77, the New York Yankees down 44-23 per game, the Chicago Cubs down 59-22 per game, and the Boston Red Sox down 4,500 and change. Now, the conventional wisdom would be that this is the first kind of season where COVID isn't like everywhere and in everybody's minds all the time. So you would think people would want to make up for the last 2 years of 1 year completely not going to be able to go to the ballpark, and then another year where a lot of the season or significant portion of the season you still couldn't go, or there was a lot of restrictions. But pretty much for the most part, the only teams that have increases or significant increases are the ones that are vastly playing better on the field, and those would be teams like the Toronto Blue Jays and the Atlanta Braves. The Braves won the World Series last year, so that definitely gets them a lot of advanced season tickets as well. And overall here we have 8 consecutive years of decline. I'm going to throw out the last 2 years because those are skewed. But ever since 2012, every season, the MLB has lost fans going to games. The average at its peak was 32,696, and that was in 2007. Today, right now, towards the end of June, it's at 25,535. So this isn't made up. This isn't some anomaly that they can just brush away and say, oh, it was just a bad year, oh, it was COVID, or this or that. I mean, this is real, and it's now accelerating, because before it was kind of like real gradual declines here and there. But this year, from 2019, we're down as so far about 10%, or I think slightly over 10%. And I'm going to give you some reasons, I think, why this is happening and why it will probably continue. First of all, you have the technology and age gap. I mean, it's no secret, the average MLB fan or avid MLB fan is older and getting older for the most part. In fact, that's probably what's really saving these cable networks from completely collapsing, because you have the boomer generation still watching the teams on cable TV, and they haven't been good about moving over to streaming. I mean, there are some teams that, there's plenty of teams that you can't watch through streaming, or not through real streaming. I mean, some of them are like cable packages that have streaming, but for the most part, they haven't switched over to streaming, which they definitely need to. And with the age gap, it's no secret either that less kids are playing sports. I think that sports have become kind of more of a wealthier family activity now. I'm not saying that less wealthy people or poorer people can't play or don't play, but it's, you know, you hear about it all the time. People are getting priced out. You know, the wealthier families, they spend all this money on travel leagues and practice and private training and all this stuff. And I think it just kind of, you know, demoralizes people into playing or, you know, trying to play, because it's just, it gets too expensive and parents can't afford it. And the kid, you know, maybe they don't get to play with their friends that have more money, and a lot of kids quit. But I also think that a lot of people and kids are just less interested in sports because, frankly, there's a lot more to do than there was 20 years ago. And what I mean is, 20 years ago, there were no phones, there was no streaming, you know, you were a lot more limited in what you could stay entertained with. I mean, going to the ball game was an avenue of entertainment. But now, half the people that even go to the ball game just stare at their phones half the game. And I mean, there's other things causing these declines. There's decline in birth rate. Millennial generation's grown up now. But what also is kind of a bad thing going on, especially for this day and age where people are less patient with things, is the fact that the games are getting longer, and significantly so. I mean, it's about, 15 years ago, the games were about 2 3/4 hour. I have about 2 hours, 46 minutes is about the lowest it was back then. Now they're ranging from about 3 hours, 5 minutes, 3 hours, 10 minutes even. So that's significantly longer, about, 15, 20 minutes longer. And I know they've tried to do things to shorten the games, but it really hasn't had that much of an effect. And I mean, I don't want to get too political here, but some of the political things Major League Baseball's done, like the moving of the All-Star game and the Indians name change, have probably turned some conservative fans off. And then you have a team like Oakland where they're basically openly saying they're trying to move, and the fans have responded there. I mean, there's no question. It went from 20,521 down to 8358 from 2019 to today with the Oakland A's. So to sum this up, I really just don't think they know what they're doing. They don't have really any solutions that are really in the works that are going to work. I mean, they expanded the playoffs, and that is not driving up attendance this year, even though now there's more teams technically in it. And I know it's still early, the summer months come and attendance goes up, but also as the season goes on, more teams realize that, or more fans realize their team's out of it and will be even less inclined to go. So what they probably really need to do is make some radical changes that they're probably unwilling to do right now. There probably should be less games. I just think that the early season games in April and now March even, it's just like, it's stupid. The weather's usually really bad and they get so few people to go. It'd be better if they just cut the games down by 8, 10, something like that, and just more people would go during the warmer weather instead of, going to the games in the colder weather. I don't think it would really massively cut their attendance. It would just make people go to other games. But I'll tell you what, as of right now, they are going to take a decent loss at the gate this year if things continue in the trajectory. It looks like it's going to be about 65 million, down from a peak of 79 million. So, things aren't looking good for them, and it's just an issue that doesn't get discussed a whole lot. And let me know what you think. Do you think the MLB can save itself, or is it just going to stay in this downward spiral? And as always, thank you for watching.